Sippers, welcome to this episode of the Tea With Me podcast with me, Shane Todd. Before we get stuck into this episode, let me plug Patreon, more specifically the Tea With Me Patreon page. You get bonus content, you get the live stream episode, you know what it is. What we need to know is, once we hit 2,000 sippers, what are we going to do? For 1,000, we said we'd get tattoos. That may or may not already have happened by the time this episode goes out. But there's about 12 people getting tattoos, little teacup, from our boy Willie G. So we need to know what to do to 2,000. We're kicking it up a notch. Is it face tattoos? Is it doing an episode in a bizarre or different location? Is it someone we try and get? Let us know in the comments and we'll do something wild to celebrate 2,000 patrons. It's crazy that we're even approaching that. We are sponsored by none other than Thompson's Tea, aka the folks behind Punjana, Northern Ireland's #1 selling tea. You've tried the rest, now try the best. These guys, in their own words, aren't fucking around. That's not their words. They haven't said that. But look, you go on their website, they've got a mission statement, they're keeping it all respectful. But really, they should be out shouting from the rooftops because this is way better than the rest of the piss you're selling in shops. I'll name check them: PG Tips, Tetley, Yorkshire, etc, etc. These guys are #1 for a reason. They've been making tea in Belfast since the late 1800s, and that fits into this episode that we're talking about. Just realised we should have talked about tea in the episode, but we didn't, and you can't change the past or the future. These guys have been killing it. They've got a rich history of making tea in Belfast. Belfast has a rich history. Keep drinking it. Keep enjoying it, whether it's the breakfast, the decaf, the peppermint. It doesn't matter. It's all good. We're also sponsored by Manscaped. Manscaped.com, the numero uno, the big daddy of men's below-the-belt grooming products. When we're in the good weather like this, we're experiencing a heat wave, we sweat. Most of us do. I know a guy that doesn't. Anyway, you need to keep cool. You need to keep things nice and loose down there. Last night, when we recorded this, as in the night before we recorded this, I took a Lawnmower 4.0 to my gentleman's region. You know why? Because it was coming into the good weather. I like to keep things tight down there, and I realised I hadn't in a while, and it's one of those ones where I didn't know until I did it. I needed it. Do you know what I mean? Do you ever just tidy your room a wee bit, and then you go, I didn't know it was that bad until I look at it now, and it's pristine, and it is pristine down there. You could serve dinner on it, but you shouldn't. Not like a big dinner, just like a starter, like a little bit of pancetta or something like that. Manscaped have a deal with us, which is use our code TEAWITHME, you get 20% off and free shipping. And that's unbelievable. They've got packages on there for your package. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof. It's got an LED light. It's got anti-snag technology. What more do you want? If this was the Lawnmower 4.0, if it was an actual lawnmower, it would be a ride-on. It's the best you can get. Tea with me for 20% off and free shipping. If you're going anywhere, if you're going on a trip, take this with you, honestly. Even if you're just going to your auntie's house. This episode of the Tea With Me podcast, before I tell you who it's with, halfway through it, I realised that I had put regular milk in my tea. There is a look of sheer horror and panic on my face as I'm engaged in a discussion with my guests, Conchur and Dave, and I realised that I'm about to die. We recorded this intro after the episode. I still feel like I'm going to be sick, so I'm doing this intro as soon as possible. I don't know what end it's coming out, but it's coming out. A bit like this episode, it's going to be released. My guest is Conchur from DocumentBelfast. I've seen this guy on TikTok walking around and bringing people facts about Belfast that they might not have known. You walk through a city and we've got our heads down. We don't look up. We don't look around us anymore. Conchur is talking us through here. You pass this every day. Here's a bit of a fact about it. It's great stuff. I love it. Belfast is a cultural city. I don't know. There's loads of history in it that I know 0.01% of. And Connor's telling me and Dave Elliott a little bit about that. Dave's a silly boy. I'm a silly boy. Connor's telling us things. It's not just history. We're having a bit of a laugh as well. I'm the rat man of, what is it, the Farset River? Find out the origins of that. A real fun episode. Connor is a very, very, very nice guy, and you can see why his page is becoming really popular. He's starting a YouTube channel. It's stuff that's literally in front of you, but you don't know anything about. So I had a real good time chatting to him. Please enjoy this episode as I have tea with Connor and Dave. Now, whenever I start an episode, I always ask guests, do they drink tea? I know about this guy. I know you're a team. What was that?
I don't know. He hit me off. He surprised me a bit.
It was like a camp gang sign. I don't know what it was, but I liked it. So, Connor, we've literally just met like 10 minutes ago, and we got off on such a bad foot because I fucked up the tea order so bad. And I shouldn't be making tea for everyone, but I am.
Amateur hour here like today.
I God knows what you expect at arriving. You probably thought it's a Tea With Me podcast. There'll be staff.
It's very confusing though, like, because there's a lot of milk down there, like a lot of different types. There's both almond.
Yes.
There's no soy.
No soy.
No soy, because nobody likes soy.
Are you a tea man?
Yes.
Like, what are we chatting, like a week?
You might be a bit annoyed at me here, like, but I would only take it in the evening. You know.
Why?
Just.
Get wired before bed.
It's not like a breakfast tea. It's like breakfast tea, like, you know.
It's literally called breakfast tea.
Coffee in the morning though.
Oh, okay.
And then wake you up, and then like a wee tea to calm you down in the evening.
Right.
Not like calm you down.
Yeah. Have you? Is this your podcast debut on any podcast?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
I was on BBC Radio Ulster, but that's not really a podcast. It was just like a show.
No.
It's like a pre-record thing.
You've made it now.
It was very good though. It was very nice.
Who are you on with?
Amory Wallace.
Oh yeah, no, Amory.
Yeah,
we know Amory. We love Amory.
So she,
let's talk. I've talked about it in the intro, but your page, Document Belfast, always comes up in my feed because I like it.
Good.
So it's on the algorithm. I like it because.
Well, they're just the social media explain. 101.
Two 34-year-olds explain social media.
So what happens? I liked it and it appears on my feed.
And then you need to throw an algorithm.
They're listening to me. I sometimes, what is it when you say I'd like a Domino's tonight and I make a pizza, all of a sudden the ads are cookies.
I've noticed this recently though, like when my missus was getting like Man United updates on her phone, and I was like, "What's going on here?" She was like, "Sporting it." And then I was looking up, like, we're going to New York and Boston later on the year, and we're looking up like going to a thingy match with Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
And we were both getting like scores through for Red Sox.
Yeah.
I was like, "What's going on here?" And I was looking it up, and apparently like phones start talking to each other if you're like living with each other.
Huh?
And they share information, and your notifications will sync at some point.
No, let's not do this because that's like the time someone started telling us about the metaverse and it ruined our lives.
Yeah.
We just like our heads got carried away with it.
Because I keep getting notifications for adverts for men with large cocks. And I don't know why, because I've not been looking that up. So.
Who do you live with?
My wife.
No, I think it's companies offering you that option.
Oh, okay.
I like the page because here's what I love, hidden stuff.
Yeah.
Love hidden stuff. And I think the first video I saw of yours was about the river.
Yeah.
Going just off Royal Avenue.
Yeah.
And here's what I would like to do. Go into tunnels.
You can go on it.
Huh?
Like there's no there's no public access to it.
To that river?
But people have been under in it. Yeah, because it's still free flowing underneath.
Huh?
Yeah. Want to go with me? We'll go.
Yeah, and then we'll go check it out. Thought we're at an underage disco there.
So hold on, I don't know what's going on here.
Pretend we don't know.
Right,
me and Dave are like IQ challenged. Is that?
So IQ challenge. Stupid.
Because in my head I'm thinking of Ghostbusters. The way there's like the wee river under the city and then it's all slimy and all.
Oozy sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not like that, unfortunately. No. The ghosts and all. No, but there's a river that used to flow openly. I think it went up from like Colin Glen sort of direction or somewhere, maybe in North Belfast, I don't know, wherever it sort of highest point is. And it used to flow down, you know where High Street is?
Yes.
Castle Plain, like Dunn's stores and all that, you know? So it used to flow openly there. And there's old pictures of like ships and different vessels like parked up, just moored up on where High Street is now. Just like outside Dunn's.
Nice.
Imagine like a big ship.
I like that that's you're like saying about the streets, and then the only way we'll know where places is if you're like Duns and Primark.
Back
And
in
we're like,
Boots.
oh yes. Like we don't know streets.
No, that's exactly how when I was younger, going out to clubs and stuff. That's how I got lifted from my dad. He's like, where is it you're going? I know it's near. It's out the back of Lavery's.
Harry
there,
Ramsden's.
And he's like, yeah,
Movie
yeah,
house.
every
Yeah.
time, yeah.
Are you from Belfast?
Yeah.
And when do you start taking an interest in like the history of it and all that kind of stuff?
I did like history in school, so I did GCSE and A level and all that. And then I got into like politics and different things like that and whatever. And then
What's your favourite side?
Who do you support, mate?
well, I was on union strike today, so you can probably see.
Getting DUP updates on your phone.
No comment. But basically, a couple of years ago, I was obviously newish on Instagram and stuff, and then I always took an interest walking about and looking at different buildings and like old dilapidated buildings and going, I wonder what that used to be. You know,
Yes.
because like you look at a building, like you never really sort of analyze it and stuff. And then I started like researching maybe what it used to be like an old warehouse or whatever else, and there was some interesting history to it. So what I did was start up a page and I started like sharing photos that local photographers would take, ask them permission, of course, and then put like a blurb of like the history underneath it, and then it sort of went off on that. So it was about 2016, I think I started it. So that's it.
And when you started doing this, are people getting in touch with you being like, you need to check this out?
Like when the very start,
Yeah, even now, like, are people like telling you like you've got to
Oh,
go
aye.
check this out?
send me like articles and videos and different like random facts and stuff, because there's a lot of people out there, like especially like there's a lot of retired people that will be like amateur historians and stuff, and they'll send me stuff. So yeah, it can be interesting. You can get some interesting messages, as you probably
But
know.
I like tunnels.
Yeah.
I like the idea of like,
You're a wee rat, that's why.
Descended.
I like to be amongst my people.
Okay.
Um,
Splinter.
but I shut up. I like the idea. I like the idea that you know, there could be a secret tunnel going from this place to that, or like back in the day they had to smuggle this through that, and you could still actually go down it. You know,
Can I tell you a little story?
that's all I want.
Okay.
Little
So,
stories.
I did one. May not have shown up on the algorithm for you, like, you know, but
Can you move your mic?
hello.
No, you can move your mic.
Oh,
You'd sit
okay.
right now.
There you go.
I thought it was like out of like audio range or something.
No.
So down, do you know Warren Street? Know where the merchant is?
What shops are they? Yes.
I just
Okay.
merchant
Darling, we know the merchant.
down near the cathedral quarter and all, right? So if you go down there towards like the Northern Wig,
Yeah.
so back in Northern Wig, there's like an entry there called Sugar House Entry.
Oh, aye.
Oh, why?
Okay. It's not what you think. It actually did. There were sugar warehouses.
Ah.
But there used to be a tavern there called Peggy Barclay's Tavern.
Peggy Barclays?
Peggy Barclay's Tavern.
Oh, Peggy sounds like a character.
1700s, like late 1700s, early 1800s, okay? And it used to be a meeting point, a secret meeting point for the United Irishmen. You know, the rebels, like. And,
Oh, I thought it was like a Man United supporter.
no. The original Man United supporters come 1798. So they used to meet there, and they got a bit of sort of not press, but you know, like when the police and all started catching on to where they were meeting. So she opened the upstairs of it, and they had their secret meetings in there, and they had it as a
So-
front called the Muddlers.
Let me just say, so the police, right?
Yeah.
They caught Dawn.
Yeah.
That they were going to the sugar house, and she was like, "I know what they'll not get."
Upstairs.
But Sticky's upstairs.
Hidden in plain sight though. Where they're not gonna look.
And just Peggy
Here, are
going,
they upstairs? No.
"Are you sure? I can see a load of fellas up there, and they sound like the United Irishmen are singing a song about rancakes." I need to go up there.
There's a sign that says United Irishmen upstairs.
United Irishmen aren't here. So they had that anyway.
It was probably easier to trick people
Yeah.
back in those days.
secret club, and it was called the Muddlers Club.
Really?
So
Because that's what the restaurant is
it's
now.
across the street from it. So that's why they call that the Muddlers Club, because that was what it was called.
There you go.
Pretty cool name for a secret society
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
You know, but
But did they have a tunnel or anything?
I will go with that. They had a secret tunnel.
But
Probably, yeah. They probably had
like, have you
some-
discovered any like, what's blown your mind the most since you started doing this and looking at things a little bit more?
I'm trying to think of like specific things that stand out. Just about how many little secret, like all the alleyways around Belfast, there was something rebellious and dodgy that sort of went right.
Oh, they're all alleyways,
these
are the dodgiest thing on earth.
Like all the entries, like Joy's entry.
Entry,
That's why it's
Pottinger's.
Joy's entry. Henry Joy McCracken. Well, it's actually his dad. It was named after Francis, and he founded the Belfast Telegraph. So he founded it down one of those entries.
Right.
And it was quite rebellious newspapers and all these things. Like Henry Joy McCracken, one of my favourite stories, that he was marched down Joy's entry. There was a jail there, the jailhouse. And then he was marched down up past Duns. And he was hanged outside Duns. A grammar place. Hanged outside Duns.
Right.
There was a big
But it
market
wasn't there.
Duns was not there, no. Just hanged outside Duns.
Because that would be a sad way to go.
Yeah, you went to Tesco.
Just in front of a load of discount jumpers.
It's already depressing enough.
But you like history too. Like,
Yes.
Like we are actually guys that do we like info.
Yes.
But I don't know a lot about Belfast, the history of Belfast. When did Belfast actually become a city, or like a place where people settled?
Well, the city status was 1890.
But that's not that long ago.
1888, I think.
That's not that long ago.
Or no, wait, 1888. Sorry, 1888. Apologies, everyone. 1888 achieved city status. But settlement-wise, I mean, there's been people around here since the Bronze Age. Like there's Jan's Ring up.
Oh, I know that.
What do you know? What do you know it for?
It's a lot of friends up there.
Just, they all parked up at night.
Yeah.
No, Dave walks his invisible dog.
Yeah. But like they were selling that Jan's Rings from Neolithic age is older than the pyramids, like the Egyptian pyramids.
Right. See when you're gonna drop stuff like that, don't glaze past it like it's nothing.
It's nothing.
The Giant's Ring is older than the pyramids.
Yeah, the Egyptian pyramids. It's older than the oldest pyramid. It was.
That's wild.
I know.
How far does your knowledge of like Belfast and all that go back? Like, who were the first people that came here?
I mean, there was the Vikings were probably the Normans and the Vikings and all obviously would have settled over here and stuff. But
they voted DUP or Sinn Féin?
The Vikings, probably Sinn Féin.
You think so?
Okay. Yeah, fair.
Because I
have no basis for that.
I love your page because it's things that you would walk past. Because you're like, well, walk down the street in city centre a million times. You're not looking. I think we're part of a generation, like, especially we're glued to our phones, so we're not looking for new stuff.
Exactly.
And I another one of yours was the wee post outside White's Tavern. Now I love White's. I think it's a class bar, and I've probably seen that. Never thought about it. And it was for horse and carts and that kind of stuff.
Because it used to be a tavern, so they used to have like lodgings.
Yeah.
You know, secret lodgings up above. You know, and then
no one knew about.
Yeah, but there was probably more of them about. But there was also those ones about they used to like recycle like old cannons, and you'll see bollards about, and they might look like the shape of a cannon. So that could have been, because I looked at it and I was like, it kind of looked like a cannon. So I have no basis of if it is or not, but it did look like it. So they did that. They recycled it, cut the cannons, and used them as like bollards and posts and stuff.
And are they getting rid of a lot of stuff?
I think so. And the troubles obviously didn't help.
No.
Because blew up.
About these tunnels, like, is there any cool tunnels that you know of? Like, I would love us to, for Patreon, like, be able to go down to a tunnel.
That's what I'm saying. I think you can probably ask the council, can you get into the Farset? So, like, you could try.
But what would it... So it's a river...
I got an Albert clock.
In it?
Yeah. Did a video on it on my YouTube channel, Belfast.
But is there... But you're saying there's a river and you can get into it?
Aye, there's people
But
go
what
down
would
there.
you see?
Water.
Rats.
And rats. You'd be like the Pied Piper of
what-
Crumlin. You'd be down there, and all these wee rats would be following you, and you'd be like, "Why are they following me?" Because you're not the Pied Piper Hammond, you're a Pied Piper of Crumlin. That's you.
Call me the Rat Man.
Yeah, they're the rat man. Yeah,
The faucet. The Rat Man of the faucet.
Farset. The rat
Faucet.
What's the farset?
You could probably do with a faucet down there. But what I'm saying is, first of all, where do you get into it? Are you allowed to say?
I don't think you should tell him, because he's got I don't know what he wants to do down there or why he's so dead. You know, it's like, you know, a Book of Secrets film. He's like, he just needs one last piece to just fucking bring it all together. He's like, where do you get in this river so I can put all my artifacts together and the Rat King of the Farset can finally take over the world?
The Rat King has taken over Belfast. Unimaginable coup.
You're doing a TikTok about it.
What's up, guys? I'm with the Rat King.
You're the only one who can defeat me.
That's where the fuck you get in.
Call myself the Rat Catcher.
Now where is that? Just don't be sly.
There's- I don't know if I want to tell now.
Yeah.
Don't scare me.
No, just say.
There's
Just
probably like loads. There's drainage entries. Like they have just the gratings in the road. Not even joking. Like they actually do. They just climb down. You can climb down.
say. What about when someone
He would try that.
But the exits, know where the big fish is?
Yeah,
The exits there. Like that, you can see the pipe.
but would you like go down? Like, would you say you went in there, right? Would you be walking? Is it like? I'm not joking.
Why does he care this much?
Because I really like tunnels and stuff like that. would there be like, in my head, you go down and there's like two paths either side and a river flowing through the middle? Is it something like that?
Probably not. Like they're probably like condensed it in with like concrete
Yeah.
and stuff because they have to like have a steady base for the cars.
And do you
know
think
the end of the Shawshank Redemption?
yeah?
That's what it'll probably be like, and you'll be under in this wee muddy river with all these gerbs.
Going out into the lagoon.
You'll hear it.
People who listen to the pod sippers drive down Royal Avenue and just see me in a manhole. Oh.
Right. You know what I'll do? I'll take this away with me
Yeah,
and I'll try and find out if there's any way you can get access.
honestly, because Crumlin Road Jail, brilliant tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Love
a good
that.
tunnel. Good. Oh shit. Just all that.
See,
I love it when there's something happening above ground, there's life, and then you're like, there could be something below.
You should look up like the breakout stories about like Crumlin Road Jail
What do you mean?
and stuff. There was one that like, well, during the Troubles, like two people just were being brought over like the court.
Yeah.
And
Would you? And that's what they used as an
in
awful,
the
wasn't
tunnel,
it? It was
yeah,
across the
and
road.
they attacked the guards and escaped through
Alright.
the tunnel. And then there was a story about like 4 or 5 men that got escaped. I think it was like maybe the 1910s or 1920s, something like that. But like they literally fashioned their own key to get out. Like they took like sort of imprints of the guard's key and stuff, like, and this crazy story about like when the guard came in, they took imprints of the key and then made their own key to the same specs as that key, and it escaped.
Oh shit!
And they were on the run for like months, like.
upstairs in Peggy Bartley's.
Yeah.
The police are downstairs, like, oh.
Where are these guys?
Yeah. There's a wee ball and chain at the door. That was.
Two pairs of striped pajamas folded up. What recently is something you've? And by the way, are you stumbling across this stuff, or is it mainly from, like you say, articles and things like that?
When I'm walking around, I'll sort of look at different signs and different things, and I'll do a bit of research. And just,
Have you ever been hushed?
What do you mean, like?
You ever had someone go?
Oh right, don't be
"Take that
talking about
down,
this.
Don't be talking about that.
Not yet, no.
That will happen.
Hopefully, that'd be cool. Like,
Yeah, once he puts up the entrance, this bloody.
I know
tunnel.
Mother's Club as well.
Do you have any Belfast history?
Me?
Yeah.
When what, like personally, or do I just know anything about
History of
history?
No,
City.
just like, do you know anything about it?
I
And-
know some stuff about good times at the Crumlin Road Jail. Like back in the day, apparently when it was first built, its location was, up the Crumlin Road a bit, which was further away from where the actual centre of the town was. So in the day, there was like fields up until that, and that's what like some people state this is where the phrase hangover originates. Like older jails would have been a bit of a distance away from the city centre. So on the days of the hanging, that was like a big gig, a big show. People for the day were like, let's all go to the hangings. So they bring their family, they bring it all up. There'd be wee stalls and all up at the hangings. So there'd be people selling beers and meads and whatever else. So
Christmas
back in the day,
market.
yeah, like a full Christmas market. So then they'd go up, basically make a full day of it, hang $3 or $4, and then just get absolutely plastered. And then the next day you're like, oh fuck.
What
Hangover, so
era
that's
are you from?
what
They'd hang
the
$3 or
hangover is.
$4.
Tombstone.
But yeah, so that's
The Undertaker?
4 or 5 of those guys, and that's the phrase hangover because after the hanging, people get a hangover.
What stuff? I saw a video you were saying ginger ale was invented in Belfast.
Yeah.
Give us a few like that, like anything.
Conchur and Cochrane.
Pardon?
You know CNC.
Yeah.
Oh, just
I know you're going.
so I can't remember his first name. I see something Cantrell.
Chris.
Chris Cantrell.
Blue.
Yeah, Blue Cantrell. Jesus Christ. So he invented ginger ale. It was like medicinal purpose, like Coca-Cola was and all.
Yeah.
It was made out of cocaine.
With
and
gear,
stuff. Yeah, gear. Yeah.
And would you like to, would you like to do like a TV thing or anything like that? Because I think our generation and younger don't know anything about like the history of Belfast, the idea of the city centre, and the idea of like exploring stuff. And I don't mean to go back to tunnels,
Yeah.
but like going down to some tunnels,
Yeah.
you know, actually walking through and finding out the history. I don't know. I'd prefer to see it like the way you're doing than reading it in a book or
Yeah.
anything like that.
It's new media, like, you know, like TikTok's the way forward for doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to put forward something that's a bit more educational, because you know what TikTok's like, it's a bit of a cesspit sometimes.
Absolutely.
So it's good to sort of have some sort of education. The people I follow are all mainly like funny stuff or educational stuff, you know. So
Yeah.
I kind of want to see that being improved upon, like, and more people get onto the platform like that. Because see, half my mates, like, you know, I think we're all probably around the same age, like mid 30s, like.
I'm 34. So
Yeah, so am I. But all my mates are like, oh, TikTok's just kids dancing and stuff, and for a lot of it is, but
yeah.
and like filth,
Yeah.
and then you know.
You see Dave's algorithm?
Yeah.
That's just called the cesspit. Worse than the river faucet.
And then just like history stuff and things. So you know, it's good to get that out on the platform. I think a bit.
Did you ever hear about Buck Alec?
Yes,
We love Buck Alec.
Aye.
Yeah.
The big lion.
Yeah. So
Aye.
Buck, correct me if I'm wrong. Buck Alec was a guy who lived in Sailortown.
Yes, he did.
And
it's class. place.
Around what? I want to talk to you about that. But
Yeah.
Buck Alec first. So he was like a fighter, street fighter, brawler,
Yep.
and had a reputation as being
What
like
did you say?
a brawler.
I actually said a baller. Entirely.
Oh, he was balling out too. He had a fucking lion.
I think he was in the UVF for a while too.
Ah.
There you go. Definitely baller.
You know how to go like.
Don't say I said he's a baller for that.
He wasn't in the IRA. He was in the old IRA.
Yeah.
You know, it makes it better when you say old.
But he was like this guy who was obviously a criminal, like, and he had a pet lion
Yep.
that he took the declawed.
I just took it when we walked. So.
He used to walk
Yeah.
it. What year? What year is this? 50s?
I think he probably died around then, like, so it was probably the 20s.
What did he die of? Eaten by a lion. Yeah.
Had no taste problems.
He had a pet lion, Buck Alec. Because I'd heard that phrase for years.
Yeah.
I never
Yeah.
knew what it was.
There was like a weird history behind it, because he was in like UVF and stuff like that, but I think he just wanted to be in there just to be violent.
Right.
And I think he married a Catholic woman,
Right.
and there was like a bit of a scandal time, but because he had a pet lion.
Yeah, they're
it was
like, oh,
Yeah, I mean, you can
Yeah.
sort of free reign
Yeah,
when you got a
exactly.
pet lion.
Seen the boys are all standing there and they got their balaclavas on, their bats and all, going, who's going in Buck Alec's store first? And I went, not me.
Some guy looks out the window. He's got a fucking massive dog anyway.
And he's barking at me.
What are you feeding that cat, Buck Alec?
Did you? Oh Jesus!
But do you ever think the phrase Buck Alec, though, that's someone like being a wee bit of a white boy, bit of a...
Huh?
Buck Alec was just a criminal.
Paramilitary guy.
Gangster, like, yeah.
You're a Buck Alec.
Full on
you're-
gangster, like.
But there was, and he had rivals. There was people who were like all vying to be like the best fighter
Like a
Joe
tiger and
Exotic.
in
all.
Belfast.
Joe
Who was the-
Exotic.
Who was the guy that lived in the market? Wasn't like White Claw or something like that, but like
Fuck, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Silver Fox or something. I don't know. He was.
White Claw's that thing, isn't it? The drink.
Yeah, it wasn't either of those.
You're just naming people that are racing to find the entrance to that tunnel before you.
The White
I need-
Claw.
the Rat King of the Farset needs to get there before White Claw instead of a
Oh
fox.
Jesus Christ!
So tell me a bit more about Sailortown, because I'm intrigued genuinely by that area,
Yeah.
because obviously a lot of people used to live there, and now I had to go to pay a parking ticket down there because the parking office, something is based there. And I remember parking up, looking around it and being like, there's these like modern flats here,
Yeah.
and then there's still some of this quite old housing, and there's a couple of bars. It just seems like an odd area.
It is quite an old area, like, and the reason why there's nobody living there anymore is because they built the motorway bridge through it, and they kicked everybody else. So like there used to be hundreds of
Would
terrace
Tigers
houses.
Bay have like continued down into that or something?
Probably would have met it at some point. There was still like the main road, I think, in between them and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, I know.
Was Tigers Bay called Tigers Bay because the Buck Alec lived
the
there?
Tiger King.
Yeah,
Wow.
It'd be Lions Bay.
Yeah.
Oh,
He was
maybe
better.
he
But his
probably
lion
better too.
was called Helen.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
that's how that
The
kind of thing.
opposing side had a tiger.
Right, okay.
His rival.
That'll
Yeah.
be that. Fuck the guns. You know, decommission them. Get wild cats and animals.
Yeah, can we
Meet
can
an
we
interface
can we
and
do
just
that?
let
Can we
them
reach
loose?
out?
Yeah.
Can we reach out to these bloody paramilitaries and can we say knock the guns in the head and just get big cats,
Smuggle
Yeah.
in cats.
exotic cats?
A Komodo dragon, just let it out.
There's the UDA's panther.
Yeah. It sounds like a character in the state as well, though. The kimono dragon.
Yeah.
Just a very saucy guy that you to visit for certain things that you should keep under your hat.
So yeah, so tell me about Sailortown. So the motorway
Just wiped out the community.
ended it.
Yeah. So there's a chapel down there, St. Joseph's. It's down know where the American bar is and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Like around there.
Because there's a comedy gig happens there,
Aye.
and I always think like, who would go to? Because who
Yeah.
lives there, or like where's that?
So it's owned by Sunflower. So
Right, yeah,
that sort of crowd will go like back and forth between the bars and stuff. But there's also a bar around the corner. I've actually McKenna's.
Yeah.
That would be more of a local bar. So the last sort of remaining locals would go to that bar. But it's cheap, like as well. It's good.
Right.
But Sailortown, yeah, very very populous area back in the day, and then just got wiped out. But it used to be a place because beside the docks and all, like a lot of the sailors would come there, and that's why it's called Sailortown. The American bar now, that's a very old bar.
Yeah.
Some people say it's because there were American soldiers used to drink there during World War II. When they came off the boats, they used to go in there.
Yeah.
And then some other people say it was just like different immigrants and different American shipmen and stuff would just pop in there. But there used to be tons of bars around there. There used to be, remember Rotterdam bar?
Yeah. Again, heard of these places,
yeah.
but it was always one of those like, who's drinking there? You know what I mean?
Pat's bar, the Rotterdam bar, was loads of them. I think that somebody needs to come in and
Revamp the
revamp it a
area.
bit. You know, have more housing and
It'll
stuff too.
probably happen at some point though. Won't it? It's like
Yeah.
each week, like the cathedral quarters, hot right now. You know what I mean? Whereas it might kind of, it all sort of changes
Yeah.
from like Shaftesbury Square. Like that's something that
Breaking
I would say
news.
now. Like it's, but it looks
Cathedral quarter hot.
crap now. Like isn't it? Like it was the Golden Mile. It was everywhere, and now it's like all derelict. It's actually a shame to see
100%.
the state of it. Like see, even since after COVID and all, you come back and it's like state of it. Like look.
Yeah.
It's like, it's sad, and I don't know if you've noticed. I was reading this thread on Twitter the other day, and it made me like you know when you get sucked into it and you're just reading. It was about how things now it's all about practicality. Everything's practical, and you're losing the ornateness of beauty of architecture or like even bollards. You know, back in the day, it was like they used to be quite ornate and they put the
Saw
design on them, and it's just
Lampposts and all.
yeah. And do you think like what's word like how do you then keep some of the, because if you look at some of the older buildings in Belfast, the tops especially, they're beautiful, you know, and they wouldn't be designed like that anymore. Everything's getting very generic and very easy to throw up. So you know, do you think there'll be anything like a push towards maybe trying to bring back some of that history, or do you think it's all just going to be erased?
Yeah, because you put videos up about how suggestions as someone who knows Belfast and looks around it of how to improve the city centre. So
I'll put it out to like anybody who follows me as well. Like that question box got hundreds of replies to that too about how they can improve it, and there's running themes through it. You know, more sort of greenways and stuff. You know, take over the old dilapidated buildings and do them up again, like the likes of Art Deco Bank of Ireland, Bottom Road Avenue. There's a road near Cascourt.
yeah, near Cascourt.
So they're doing that up. It's like £100 million development now, but because it's a grade 1 or grade A building, they have to keep it to that aesthetic too, which is good.
Yeah.
But you're right, no, that there's no pride anymore
Yeah.
in what they're doing. They're just throwing up office blocks and different things like that, and not really caring about it. There's no soul in it anymore. Whereas, I mean, the Victorians had a lot wrong with them, obviously, and the Georgians and all, but they were very blingy, very show.
Yeah.
So you see all these buildings, and they're massive, beautiful, ornate buildings.
Like I was on holidays last week over in Buckinghamshire in England, and like a lot of their wee villages have that sort of old, you know, the quaint sort of the Georgian buildings. It sort of has that history, and I thought, you know, when I came back here, you miss some of that, because Belfast history is brilliant, and like some of the older history before all the troubles and everything, you know, it was brilliant. So it'd be nice to see some of that kind of kept. For like even in Bangor there, they've restored the courthouse. It was an old built, and they're doing it, and it looks great. You know, and it's really cool to see.
They just need to protect the buildings and law.
Yeah.
That's what they need to do, like, you know, and make sure that nobody can redevelop them or knock them down.
Yeah.
Like the likes of North Street, like there used to be beautiful buildings down there, and it's just a mess now.
Like see, even we're speaking about the Crumlin Road, the courthouse now. Do you know if it's still? There's talk of it being turned into a hotel.
Yeah.
Is that gonna? Do you know if anything like that's
I think
happening?
the
or it's
planning was
just-
pulled, so the problem is, and I don't want to diss the city council too much, obviously, and stuff.
No,
but
I'm happy to do that. Don't worry.
the planning department's apparently very, very strict in terms of what you can plan and not. So
Yeah.
the ones that I think it's Signature Living Group, they do like a lot of hotels in Liverpool and stuff. They were wanting to buy the Crumlin Road Courthouse, the George Best Hotel they were opening up, and
That's
all
right.
those. Planning was just taking so long and just so many hoops to jump through and things like that they just gave up and just left. And that they were about
Yeah.
to pump tens of millions into the city.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
hundreds
Because that
of
George
employees.
Best Hotel sat there,
Yeah,
boarded up.
they have completed it. Like, you know, they were on the way to opening and stuff.
What is
and
it
then
now?
They've pulled the
nothing.
plug on it,
Dunno,
haven't they?
I think they
They've-
pulled the plug,
Yeah,
yeah.
this week I think, or last week, they just said that's it. They're doing.
Because
done
have
with it.
you seen a guy on TikTok who goes into like old buildings and stuff like that?
Thinking of it. Is he a madman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen him?
No.
See the guy who went on the bus?
Don't
No,
know.
the glider guy? He went on top of the glider.
Oh no.
Through ties.
He's like a young guy,
Yeah.
and he goes into like what you would call haunted
Aye.
old buildings.
He went into the hospital and all, like the old hospital and the swimming pool and stuff, did he?
Yes, and
Yeah.
the cinema, the old
Yeah,
cinema.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean he went on top of the glider?
I think he was the same boy. I don't want to like land him on it.
No, no, no.
But like I think it was well known that he was the boy who like like climbed on the glider and rode through time
Did he video?
on top. Yeah.
Would
No,
do
usual
Patreon content?
Yeah,
for
so-
silly
yeah.
and all.
For
But
sure.
he goes into like old hotels and
Mhm.
stuff that are abandoned. Like the idea of abandoned stuff,
Yeah.
I would never go into anywhere like that. But I'd love to see the footage of it.
I would like to do a wee ghost hunt. Do you
Oh.
ever watch those guys? BuzzFeed Supernatural.
Mhm.
And there's a guy called Shane and I forgot the other guy's name. But they do like a thing where they do like ghost hunt, but one of them's real skeptic and one of them believes in ghosts. So they sort of it's kind of comedy routine like they
Well,
have.
but where would you like to explore?
I would love to go on the Crumlin Road Courthouse.
Uh-huh.
So would
Yeah.
I've asked to go on Hard and the Wolf and they haven't got back to me like 4 times.
Where?
On top of the ground.
Oh yeah, but
Just
it's just like a control center, isn't it?
But I wanted to see like the view and stuff, you know, and
Oh,
say
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
on top of the
There's
crane.
an old hospital. I can't remember exactly where it is, but they kept it open for any like infectious diseases or whatever.
Yeah.
There was and apparently because of that, it was just I think, oh, what's the name of the hospital? I'll look it up in a minute. But there they got security on site, and they said that the security had found a few weird wee shrines about the hospital, and then a couple of animal corpses
Oh, God.
by a river. So they're like, there's something going on there. It's a bit sort of spooky.
I don't want to go on these buildings
Yeah.
anymore.
But like I've done a few gigs in the Strand cinema,
Yeah,
and like see
class place,
with
yeah.
it, when you go behind or like backstage, so to speak, there's like old rooms where like some old bits of cinema history are there, and you're like, this is just a class old
Yeah.
building. And
Yeah.
they're talking about like redeveloping it a bit at the minute if they can get the funds for it. But
It was charity.
some of the history of its class, and actually
It's a
so
stunning
cool.
place.
It's really
it's
nice,
really
isn't it?
really really cool, and there's so many places like that you know you just would love to see a bit of something happen to it. You
Opera
know?
House for me,
Yeah. Oh,
I just did it recently.
Yeah.
Inside it is just unbelievable.
There must be secret things in there,
Has to be.
you know.
But like secret
tunnels. I'm
passages-
sure there's tunnels.
Is there
Oh,
tunnels?
yeah.
Is there tunnels? Now I gotta flag this. Halfway through our discussion, you know there was confusion with the teas.
Yeah.
You know the way I have a dairy
yes.
allergy.
My tea, yeah.
I've drank 3/4 of this cup and there's normal milk in it.
Oh,
So
no.
that's just going to add
Oh, no.
a little bit of tension to the episode. So if I run out, just keep her going.
We'll keep her
It's a
going.
leather chair. Like
Find the moment where I realize it's that, and let's get a clip where we just slowly zoom in on my face because I'm like that
Put
gif
knife
of the
to your
guy
stomach.
just sweating. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, I have a weird relationship with Belfast in that I think I took it for granted as a city for a long time.
Mhm.
And then more recently, I've really had an appreciation for it.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. And I don't know if you're...
Beaver Park Hospital.
He went in that one. That was the guy.
That was the Beaver
That was the
Park
hospital. I think he went in
Yeah.
because there were still people working in there. wasn't there?
Right.
Do you know Windsor House? It used to be
Office building?
no. It's I don't know what the term is now. Back in the day, before political correctness, you'd call it a nut house. But it was maybe nowadays it was
Mental
maybe
institution?
yes, a mental asylum, mental institution, I went there one time just before it closed, and
as an impatient.
I spent a
Windsor
couple of
House?
weeks there. Yeah, I was in Windsor House. I was actually meeting somebody
Where is
for
it?
coffee. It's on the grounds of City Hospital.
Right.
But I went in there not long before it closed down because I think they deemed it no longer fit for purpose in the and like, if you imagine in your head from what you see in a horror film or a movie of what an asylum looks like, it was that, and it was so eerie to go. There's still places here that exist like this, you know.
Yeah.
And we were in and they had old portraits on the wall. There was actually a girl walking about in a wee white, you know, not a nightie, but like a wee thing, like just wandering about.
Oh, it
And
was
I'm sort
still
of
open.
going, yeah, it was open, and I was going,
Like, fuck.
I hope it was open. Shit, like a Sixth Sense here.
She died 10 years ago.
But it was, you know, when you're there going, but as a building, it was like that. This is a nice building. I think it's just raised to the ground now, but it was like spooky, like.
Just
Yeah.
didn't care anymore. Like,
Yeah.
you were saying about earlier about like looking up at the nice sort of stuff at the top buildings.
Mhm.
When you go in city centre and you're like walking down, so like Next and all this, and all the buildings at the bottom are just generic high
Yeah.
street ones, and you
Yeah.
look up, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's because it's partially because of troubles, because they're all bombed out.
Yeah.
So they bombed the bottom floor, obviously, then bombed the top bits. And you can see like half buildings and all here and there. Like there's one, do you know where that Carol's shop is?
Yes.
Yes.
The thing. So if you look up on that, it looks like there's like half a building. I think the other side was probably destroyed, so they've got like this big 70s stinking looking building there. But yeah, it's
And see also, if you look up sometimes on the right night, depending, sort of close to that, you might just see a wee United Irishman looking out the window going,
Why is there there's loads of gargoyle type stuff.
I think it was just like to fend off spirits and things. They put
Oh,
them
really?
on buildings, yeah. Because there's ones on like the Scottish Provenance building, I think.
City Hall's a smashing building.
So is
Oh,
that-
it's class.
is that the idea then of what a gargoyle is?
I think it was a scare
It's just
off.
a scare
yeah.
off. See, I think nowadays
Ah.
the fact that I suppose people think they know everything, they don't. They're more skeptical to like demons and things like that.
Mhm.
Back then, we need gargoyles just in
Yeah,
case.
fucking put
It's like scarecrows.
Messers Gargoyles off
Yeah.
the planet.
You know, yeah, that's.
Architect and all.
Imagine you're an architect nowadays. Listen, I'm going to build this building. It's going to be multi-use. We're going to have a wee gym area in it. We're going to have flats. It's going to have a wee shopping area. It's all good. Only thing is, I need to have 7 gargoyles in the roof. Why is that? Just in case spirits get in. You know, someone be like, we can't give this fucking guy planning permission. Not at all.
Do you remember that show, Gargoyles?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
It's
good.
great.
A good
It was
time.
good
A wee bit scary, but it was good.
And then Hunchback of Notre Dame, maybe gargoyles and that too.
What's
Good
what's your favourite part of Belfast? Like area of Belfast? Somewhere you'd go?
Ooh. You know what? Come back to me on that because I want to give a correct answer. I want to have a good think about that.
Do you know what? Do you know what bit I like? And it's only last couple of years. I'm like, that's a cool part of Belfast
Union
because
Street.
the near it, you know where Muriel's bar is?
Yes.
Down near the side of the inn shops.
Church Lane.
I like around there.
It's nice.
There's a wee bit of something. There's always a bit of life about there.
Remember the shops?
And the inn shops. And Muriel's my favourite bar in Belfast.
You know what my wife really likes, and she's like, it's quite sweet, but it's also a bit
Other
nerdish
guys.
as well. Pardon. But she will like. She loves history, and would be, and to her she'd be like, oh, if you're in places, she'd be like, I can imagine, you know, all the years back, people just coming off the boats and doing this and doing
milling
that,
about.
and she loves. And I think that part of Belfast is you can still sort of imagine the cobbled streets and all.
Yeah.
You could see what
Yeah,
it would have been
Definitely.
like back in the day, like even the pot house, whenever, which is I don't even know what it is now.
21 Social.
Yeah, but they kept some of the original, like wasn't it? It just used to be a pottery, wasn't it? And they
Yeah.
had some of that.
And then the
And-
street beside it, no thing, Hill Street, the
Yeah.
cobbles
Yeah,
and all.
I
like,
used to work in Hill Street for many moons. Like
The
it was-
Half-Bap,
it was
it's
great.
called.
Doing
Great
what?
spot. Housing executive. Mate.
Oh, that's
yeah,
right,
the
that's
Hill
where you
Street
were.
office was great.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good spot. Like, and then you go to the Duke of York. What a place! Like that wee lane.
Well, it's the most iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like John
Tremendous.
Hewitt. John Hewitt's
Yeah.
a wee bar, like.
Yeah.
So it was like,
But people, like, would you ever do, I mean, I know you just, you work full time and on the side you're bringing people this kind of content and stuff like
Aye.
that, but would you like to do like tours or anything like that or show people around?
I think so. I'm not really business minded, so I don't really know where to sort of start with that. But
Tunnels.
I would, what?
Tunnels.
Tunnels.
Todd's
tours.
tunnels.
Todd's tunnel tours.
Yep.
Speaking of tunnels, there is a project, and I don't know where it's at. In the markets, in where the old tunnels there. Do you know the old tunnels, beside the train station in the markets there? They're going to make those tunnels into like shops and things. I think
Really?
they've been talking about that.
Oh,
now for
under
years.
the-
Yeah,
Oh, I know
under
what
the
you're talking
arches?
about,
under the arches, yeah.
Oh yeah, that'll be cool.
So I think that's what they're again. That's been something that's been pushed for a while now, but I think that would be pretty cool. And then they're going to open, I think, access between the tunnels there that'll lead underneath the road into like sort of from the market direction over to like the BT and the Hilton and all that, and the Waterfront. So
Open everything up. Open everything up.
Open every tunnel.
Pedestrianize everywhere.
No, but tunnels and all, like open them up. Now, do you like the pedestrianization?
Yeah.
Of Belfast?
Yeah. Because unless people are living in the city, all right.
I know, but what about like need somewhere to park?
Good train station down there, mate.
Huh?
Good train station. Get the train up.
I like the idea. I like the idea of it.
Get a boat.
I love the idea of a boat.
Yep.
You
should do that. Boat taxis.
They are doing that. Aren't they doing a Bangor to Belfast?
They're talking about that, a ferry, yeah.
That'd be class.
That would be good.
I would get.
I mean, all I'm saying is since I've moved to Bangor, they're talking about that, and they've made it the city.
They're talking about making a bridge over from Sailortown to the Odyssey, which would be pretty cool. Because I'll get like a footfall the whole way around it. Because you know you have to go out all your way to get to Sailortown a bit.
That's actually a great shout, yeah.
So it'll be good. But they're.
And that would definitely open the Sailortown a bit then to people.
Yeah, exactly.
As well.
All tourists and all that.
What about the docks? You like the docks area?
I mean, like, there's not really that much now, is there, like, around there? It's just all industrial sort of places.
I think the dry dock is unreal.
Oh,
when you can actually go down into it.
Around Titanic and all that.
Just gives you an idea of the scale of it.
That's class, like the Queen's Dock or something, Queen's Quay or something.
Right.
Where Titanic was, yeah.
You know what, that's a fun area too, but yeah, I can't see past
it's a fun area?
Border. You know, you're like, what's your favourite part of Belfast? Yeah, I lived in South Belfast for a long time, off Lisburn Road. I liked it, but then when I go back there, I'm like, oh, I'm too old. I can't, it's not for me. But I loved it at the time. I lived in East Belfast for a while. Loved that, but I think, like for actually going out in and around those bars are definitely
I like Ormo.
In the cathedral.
Ormo's good.
Yeah. I used to go to school around there, obviously with Kieran
Bartlett, that's right. You revealed this before the pod.
Aquinas, was
I know
it?
You invited me on the pod before him.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, call him out. Listen, call him out.
Yeah.
Paddy McDonald's done it. Let's just get him. But yeah, and the Belmont Road's another nice wee spot as well. Belfast's great.
Graveyard at Stranmillis.
Oh, I'm glad you talked about it because I really want to talk about that.
Did you actually?
I did.
We didn't arrange that beforehand. I shot a movie, a short film. Sorry.
What was it?
Bad Boys 2. No, it was just a wee thing.
No embarrassment.
How did they make it look like LA? Like LA?
It was written by Colin Bateman.
Okay.
And it was a short film production.
Bangerman.
Yep, that's what it was called. It was a new Marvel franchise.
We're close friends.
But yeah, we filmed in there, and that place I didn't really have a lot of time to like walk about and explore it, but unreal. It's closed to the public, isn't it? Or they?
Yeah, you can get there's like tours now and again. You can. I did just like you just reach out to the council sometimes and they'll let you in. There's a guy, who's a wee old man who used to live there, and he's like caretaker.
I bet you he's seen some spooky
Probably,
shit.
Yeah. There's some really fucked up stories.
There's a lot of talk about it being haunted, isn't there? Yeah.
Well, it's called Friar's Bush because purportedly there was a friar, like a monk, that was murdered and like hanged on a thorn.
And he like Kate Bush.
Hill tree. Kate Bush, yeah. That's what that song's about. Run up the hill. Run up the hill.
To get him down?
Yeah. And there's a big mound. You can go like, when you go in, you go to the left, there's a big huge like mound of like grass. It's just like, it's just like a little hill. That's where they dumped a load of plague victim bodies. It's like a burial pit.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So also, do you know why it's called a graveyard?
No.
So difference between cemetery and a graveyard. Does anybody know this?
No, but I'm here for this because this is something I've thought about a lot.
Cemetery didn't have a church on it. So if you look at like city cemetery and stuff, Roselawn Cemetery, there's no church or anything on site, but a graveyard has a church. It's the yard of it.
Right. Oh,
nice. So
okay.
Now you look at Friar's Bush, there's nothing there, but there was one that was actually there previously. So that was the graveyard to it. But a lot of famous people. Barney Hughes is buried there.
Who's that?
Belfast Bob created it, invented it.
Really?
Yeah, swear to God. Barney's Babs.
Oh well.
So he was actually a good man. No, like he was North Belfast man. He created it for like the poor during like the famine, I think, and stuff.
Right.
So he used to have like leftovers or bread and stuff, and he used to make the baps out of those and sell. That's why also, look at this, like leaning on to everything else here. So we've gone from that. So you know the Cathedral Quarter?
Yeah.
The old name of it's called the Half-Bap.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot of people that might comment and go, oh, that's not why it's called that. But there used to be like a little roundabout. You know, like the old roundabouts or like a wee dome.
Yeah.
So his first bakery was apparently down near where the Crumlin is and stuff, and like the end of the Cathedral Quarter. And there used to be a roundabout sort of thing, and they used to say it looked like a half a bap.
Right.
And that's why they called the area the Half-Bap.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Give us give us your favourite Belfast fact. Like something people might not know or something that's named that. Whatever you choose.
I kind of like the one about the waterfront. So the roof of the waterfront.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, it's like...
I know they had to repair that after my show a
What
couple of years ago.
You raised the roof? Is that why?
No, there was some damage
Just water
that they had to tiles that was separate to my show.
What did you do?
I just blew the roof
No comment.
off a bit.
So
but is it the Waterfront Hall or the area?
Yeah, the hall itself. So the roof of it was actually designed purposely in like that sort of coppery sort of color, and they did that because like you see like the roof of City Hall and stuff that used to be browny sort of coppery. They did that deliberately so they would turn green, eventually over oxidization.
Why not just go straight there?
Just paint it green. I don't know. They want that kind of like natural mottled effect,
Right.
probably. I don't know. Don't fuck work with them.
Right, yeah.
Architect. But they did it because of that, so it would like go over time. It would be like greeny sort of color to match in with the aesthetic of the city.
Right.
So there you go. That's one fact.
Same with those wee arches down. When you look down at City Hall,
Yeah.
again out on the street. If you're looking from City Hall down towards Duns,
Donegal Place.
yeah, those wee arches,
Yeah.
they're all brown.
Yeah.
They're going to turn green.
They'll change.
Same with the chapel at Hollywood on the way in.
Which one?
The
Right
chapel
there?
at the top, you would have driven past
Is
it
it
probably.
new?
No. Well, they built like a newer part of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's starting to like go that green.
Yeah.
So they must have done that
So
over time.
they did that. So, but I think that's a nice touch. So, like, keep the architecture.
Where's Belfast going then? What do you think is next? Like, what are they going to do? I want to know your redevelopment plans because I got a lot of shit now. I had a plan for an activity for me and my wife to do, right? And she went, you're the biggest loser I've ever seen in my life.
Jesus.
And I don't think I've said this out loud. So not only that, my wife's called me the biggest loser she's ever seen in her life, and my mum yesterday called me the fattest person she's ever seen in real life. Now I know for a fact, hold on, she's seen fatter people because I've been with her and seen fatter people than me. But she said no, and she argued and said no, you are. But that's another story for another
Your
day.
mum said this sentence.
Yeah.
Oh no, you be your mum and I'll
Yeah.
be you.
Okay.
So I'm just you.
I said to her basically, look, I'm starting to diet because I want to get a bit of weight off. I want to look after myself a bit better. And she goes, well, good, because I'm worried about you. And I went, okay, well, why are you worried about it? And she goes, because you're the fattest person I've ever seen in real life.
Oh my God.
I went, okay. Now, what I've just said to you before that was that I feel sad about it, and I know that. And my sister before that was like, yeah, I'm worried about you. And I'm like, yeah, you don't need to lecture me because I'm aware. And I was like, Mum, I don't want my feelings hurt. And she took that to go, okay, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but before I don't hurt your feelings, I just need to get this off my chest. And then she told me that, right? So that's
The fattest person she's ever met in real life.
ever seen in real life. No, not even met, seen. And we've been to Florida on holidays. Like, we've been. Like,
There's
I've
big
seen
people. I've been to Florida. Like,
and I've seen people like
Yeah.
on like a 4-person mobility scooter, and it's for one. You know what I mean? But no, I'm fatter.
4-person
So
mobility scooter.
anyway, to be the biggest loser of all time,
Yeah.
I said to Catherine one day, we were walking down Bangor, and there's a few empty shops, and there's empty. Not Castle Court, I can't remember. But
Shop,
flagship,
no.
yeah, it's empty, and I just was thinking, So we went home, and I got a notepad out. I said, I have an idea. I said, what we should do of an evening, get the kids looked after. We'll walk down through Bangor. We'll make a note of all the empty places, and we'll like play a wee game, see what we would put in there to try and rejuvenate the area. And
She
just
loves that.
I like it.
Connor
And
fucking
she went,
loves that.
you and me can do it.
That's
She
a
went to me,
nerd.
fuck off, I'd rather watch The Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I went, dead on.
It's the shittest game I've ever heard
Yeah,
in my life.
but hey,
it's
listen.
interesting to go, what would you have there? But to
Yeah.
go through the admin of having the kids minded and doing
Yes.
and walking around with a notepad. If you have a notepad and that's not your job to have a notepad, you're a loser.
Yeah, listen, well,
Do you
listen,
have like the wee cap?
Deerstalker
listen,
hat.
I'm all for that. Listen, I think, because my idea is this, I think the councils are greedy at the minute, and I think what councils need to do for a wee while, have some sort of incentive whereby if you're bringing local shops back in, lower the rent for a bit,
Yeah,
or else
that's
even
rates,
have a deal where, look, you don't have any rent or rates for the first year,
Yeah.
and then after bringing it in, you'd see things.
Especially post-COVID, like they
Yeah,
should have had some
absolutely.
sort of rate relief for businesses and things like the bars and all. Like had to put out their prices for ages, and then it's putting off people coming into Belfast. Well, locals
Yeah.
anyway, like But
There's
it's good for
like,
tourism.
the amount of booze as well. People have been sitting at home being like pouring gins.
Yeah.
Like,
What's the history? Do you know a lot about the history of booze in Belfast?
The history of booze in Belfast. I think there was like a time where there was like a temperance movement where they were trying to ban booze, like in the early 1900s and stuff like that. A booze movement, like it's always been a boozy city. Like every single sort of secret meeting and
upstairs in Peggy
Apparently,
Hartley's, yeah.
was done over booze, like in Kelly Cellars and all, like
What was going on there?
Same, any sort of rebellious group through Belfast history has met in Kelly Cellars, like,
Right.
and they've.
You can feel
It
the
looks
history in
it, doesn't
Kelly
it,
Cellars.
though?
Like, yeah, you
Why-
can
That's why
feel
it's so
it.
low.
Why
as
is the PSNI not just hang out around Kelly Cellars? Of all the guys, like, where's the spot to meet? I know a secret spot.
well. Just see French tourists now, like, you know.
It's cracking, like,
Yeah,
and
it's
you
good,
can. There's some places that try and give off this impression of like
Yeah.
we're historic and we've got all this, and that you can tell they don't. It's quite fabricated.
Yeah.
Places like there and Whites and a few others,
Yeah.
you can just feel it, like.
Oh, 100%. The ones that own Whites, like Clover Group ones, they own the jailhouse and Henry's and all. I like what they're doing because they're sort of keeping some of the aesthetic of the older places, like Whites and all, and they're telling the history of the place too and keeping it alive, which is always good to see with businesses.
Clover
I
Group
think more
are
owners need to do
fantastic.
it. You know, yeah, they're good. Like
What about hotels?
hotels, well,
I love the Merchant.
it's a nice hotel, nice to look at,
Class.
isn't it? Like inside it,
Is
the
there
bank.
anything that sort of merges history and booze? Like, you know, like obviously you can do pub crawls where people just want to go and get steaming, but is there something like, I think there's a whiskey tour maybe,
Yeah.
where people do, but is there something that you'd maybe go to several like historic bars and just have wee pint?
I don't know
Is
if
that
there
something
is,
to-
but it would be a good idea.
I think that'd be cracking.
Maybe I should do that.
Do you just want to have pints?
Yeah, I mean within reason, because obviously I've been in a few pub crawls in my time, and I went to one in France, and it was just everywhere you went you did shots and got Larry, and it was wild, and you ended up in the fountain at the end of it. Great fun. Whereas I think now that I'm a bit older, I wouldn't mind just going around maybe having a wee half pint of something and just being like,
Guinness.
this is where the United Irishmen head upstairs, which
Yeah.
something like that. I think that'd be interesting. And going around a
What
few
about
pubs.
like any characters that you really like from back in the day that you found out a little bit about, like Nancy fucking whoever we just said,
Peggy Bartley?
Peggy Bartlett.
Yeah.
Nancy Mulligan. I like Mary-Ann McCracken. So that boy I was talking about who got hanged, Henry Joy McCracken, outside thing, was his sister. She was a badass in her own right. Like she used to like hide them and all. Like she used to have like there you go, wee secret hiding places in
Let's
her
find
house,
them.
like wee secret doors and stuff, and she used to hide them, and like under the floorboards and different places like that. So she used to hide them. But after he got caught and executed, she carried it on in secret, like, you know, as well. And she was also one of the first big anti-slavery protesters. Okay, so she was apparently, because obviously America still had slavery up until like past the Civil War and stuff. When she was in her 80s, she could still be seen like at the docks, like 88 years old, handing out like leaflets, anti-slavery leaflets to people going to America on the
Oh,
boats. And fun fact about that is that the United Irishmen, different rebels at the time, who were very cross community, by the way. The United Irishmen leaders were Presbyterian,
Right?
and the Catholics and the Presbyterians all sort of teamed up together, you know, because they
Like
were
the
both getting
Avengers?
sort of impressed, like the Avengers, yeah. Cross community Avengers, and so they would protest against like sugar as well, because sugar came from America, came from, you know, colonial sort
Sorry,
of places.
I just need to point out
Yeah.
there's a bad man in Top Boy
Okay.
called Sugar. And me and
Yeah.
Dave were really upset us with a character that works for Sugar. So when you said they're fighting against Sugar,
Sugar. Yeah.
we thought he was
Yeah.
against Top Boy, but
Yeah.
I apologise.
It all sort of comes around, doesn't it, into like,
Yeah.
you know, the evil villains and
Yeah.
But yeah,
Rat Boy versus Top Man.
The Rat Boy of the Farset.
The Rat Boy versus Sugar.
oh jeez. But yeah, no.
So they would have what? They would have like stamped out things that they didn't agree with.
They didn't
Like
eat,
what? Like
they,
sugar?
They didn't eat sugar. Yeah.
But I mean, and here, if my mum would contest, she would say straight up, she'd attest to it and say, sugar's to blame for a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's the worst drug of all, sugar.
You're the
say.
fattest man she's ever met.
My
Yeah,
God.
ever seen with her eyes.
Ever seen.
Yeah, like I've got my only addiction, sugar.
I
Yeah.
think you look good.
Thank you, I appreciate
Alright.
it.
Because I brought
Appreciate that.
biscuits down today.
Yeah,
I can't believe nobody else has brought any. Is that right? Nobody's brought biscuits down before?
Well, no one's really brought biscuit because
For tea?
Kieran Bartlett does his podcast
Ah.
here, and that's like his
you don't
thing.
wanna.
That's his thing.
Sorry,
You
Kieran.
gotta let him have it. He's the biscuit man of Black's Road,
Yeah.
and the
There's
enemy
more
of
and more characters,
the enemy
yeah.
of the rat man of the Farset.
You know the biscuit man, the biscuit man, the biscuit
From Black's
man.
Road.
The biscuit man of Black's Road. Yeah.
For Dunmurray Lane.
And do you have people like suggesting places for you to go and that kind of thing, or I'll cover this? Tell me more about that.
I think most of the places people suggest I've now done, you know. So I'm always open, you know, if anybody's listening to this and wants to suggest places, then I'm happy to try and go to them.
Have you ever done one and then the comments people are like, "That's a lie," and then you're like, "Oh no."
There's a couple of things like I did that when I was talking about the Joy's Entry and stuff. People are really touchy, you know. Like people are like, I was like, "Oh, it's named after Henry George McCarthy." I was like, "No, it's his da." all right, like Francis.
Right.
It's like, all right.
And it's weird. People like on TikTok would be that age where
yeah.
they would correct you on it.
People on TikTok are wild.
You get any abuse?
Yeah.
Like
put-
what?
I'll put up like an old video of maybe something in the Troubles, and they're like, "Oh, why didn't you mention the like, why didn't you mention all the murders that are committed?" And all
Yeah.
this? And like, it just like, look at my comments underneath some of the Troubles
Right,
videos,
right.
and it just divulges into that. I had to put up a video telling people, please stop it.
Right.
Like,
Because you just want to give people historic facts and
I'm
interesting
not
things.
commenting on it because I'll have my own personal views. Everybody does, but for this is for historical benefits. I'm not trying to take sides. Nothing else. Everybody during the Troubles, nobody was clean. Okay.
Yeah.
Like everybody had their demons and things like that. So the thing is,
gargoyles in their
there's
house.
a few gargoyles in their house.
What's the one thing you'd show people? Final question. What's the one thing you'd show people, or place you would bring people in Belfast if they were coming over here for the first time?
I mean, apart from the touristy sort of spots, do you know you can do a free tour in City Hall?
No.
Yeah, there's free tours for people in City Hall, so I think that would be a good starting point.
So outside the box, like an outside the box for people that aren't going to do the generic, general tour,
Graveyard
the
tours,
murals, so
murals.
yeah. Where would you do?
Murals?
Probably graveyards tours, and see the thing about like some tours are a bit, they go a bit over the top. You know, like some tours will for the tourists, they'll play it up for the tourists.
Yeah.
I would prefer a more grounded tour where they tell people this happened in the past, but now it's actually one of the safest cities in Europe. When you walk around Belfast city centre,
You might get debagged.
You might get teabagged. Yeah,
That's the
Well,
worst.
listen, let's not. I think nowadays it's going to be a bit downhill from. I think the last few years, like I live obviously in the Kingdom North Down, and sometimes come up to do gigs and all, and I would like the city council. Listen, I'm looking down the barrel here. City council,
shit.
pull the finger out and clean up the city. Look after the people who need it, the homeless people, people with mental health problems. Get it all sorted. Not just council, everyone.
they emailed me back today. By
Yeah.
the way, I emailed them
Saying something along those lines.
pretty
Yeah,
much. So
good.
basically, I put out like question box. I was saying earlier, and people gave me all these suggestions. So I emailed it on to Invest Council sort of section and the Department for Infrastructure. Department for Infrastructure gave me a lot of waffle, and then Council said they're looking into it with their officers. So see what happens.
Class. What was the one thing in it where you were like, "That's bingo, like that's great"?
The nighttime travel, like buses and night buses and night trains and things like that. Because every other big city has something on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
You can't get home because there's 50% of the taxi drivers left.
Yeah. There's
during
no
COVID.
taxis.
Yeah, so it's so difficult to get one. So we need some sort of late night transportation to get people.
Here's weird one. I can't get a coffee past 7 p.m.
Yeah.
in a capital city.
Except for like a couple of Starbucks, maybe.
Closed.
Yeah.
Closed. Nero closed. Costa closed. If I'm going in, the only option I really have is like go to a spa and use the machine, and it's nice, like, or like hotels are open. 4:20 for an Americano.
Am I an old guy?
I want to hang out and have a
When I
coffee.
say this, but is that a more recent thing? Because like certainly here in Hollywood, you can't get anything other than a beer after a certain time. So am I wrong in saying when I was younger, like there would be, you know, the cool kids would be maybe go out for a coffee or a milkshake or something.
I remember Botanic, like I used to go to coffee at like Clements and all, like at 9 o'clock and stuff.
See, so I think they might have gone seasonal with their opening hours because I passed there and it was open, but I couldn't get a space outside it. It was last night coming to do pugs for you.
Ask Kieran Bartlett.
Everywhere's
We
closed.
went out one night to meet for a coffee in Botanic, and I think we went to 4 different coffee shops. And there's one when I parked up, he was walking towards Starbucks, and he had texted me saying, "I'm going to Starbucks." I watched him walk the road to Starbucks. He got the door, pulled it, and I've never seen anyone's heart just sink more. Pulled the door, and he just went. He didn't know I was watching him. He just went. Like composed himself, and I texted him. I saw that, and he goes, "Okay." And then we end up going to some hotel somewhere.
Yeah, you'd keep
sleeping together.
walking. Mental. Like.
Big thing at the minute is Guinness, so around. Like that's a big, like new trend, isn't it? Like, you know, people getting Guinness and like what's the best Guinness in the city and all that, you know,
yeah.
and stuff
Have
like.
you got an opinion on it?
Maybe.
Go on,
Go
let's
for
say, where's the best Guinness in Belfast, in your opinion?
Two of my favourite places in the city centre, okay, because I won't go out. 'Cause people have their locals and
Yeah.
gets in a bit of a slang and match if you say, "Oh, don't go there." Bittles and Madden's.
Yeah, a lot of
Too-
shout for
too
Bettles,
big.
like a lot of people would.
Bittles is class, like,
Yeah.
you know, but it's a nice bar too. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Apparently, Lavery's Guinness is very good.
I haven't had one of Lavery's in a long
I'd be
time.
more of a Guinness like. Well, I'm never drinking city centre really because I'm more likely to like wee country pub or something.
Yeah.
Or somewhere where we're staying if we're going to wee like staycation.
That's
kind of
right.
thing.
We staycation.
Wee staycation. But like, yeah, people are obsessed with the best Guinness.
And I mean, there's some fact, like it is a very like volatile drink to like take care of and stuff, like, and do that.
Belfast International Airport,
Oh Jesus,
best Guinness.
it's like $6.50 a pint, too, isn't it? Like
No, it's the best. I would go, like, I'll book a flight like Leeds Bradford or
just
something.
for the Guinness.
Sit in the departure lounge, neck a Guinness, and then go home.
Yeah.
It's the best. Where does really good? There, the SSA Arena.
In the plastic, has to be in the plastic though.
But there's something about that really blends well. Trying to think where else you'd get a brilliant Yorkgate.
Yeah,
Yorkgate would do a good
Frankie
one.
and Benny's.
Frankie and Benny's and
Central Station.
Dundon Lice Bowl.
There you go.
There we go. There's
You
the
heard
best
it here
place
first.
in
What else
Belfast.
do you need?
Frankie and Benny's for Guinness.
The stout and Nando's is hard to beat. Frankie and Benny's.
We did see somebody in the comments taking this seriously.
Pizza Hut.
Lord, fucking Nando's one's stinking.
Here, thank you so much for coming on.
You're very
Your
welcome.
page,
Thank
we'll
you so
put it in the
much for having me.
description. Document Belfast.
Thank you.
It's great, and it's as I say, it's on the algorithm.
Can you
'Cause
tell
I like
people
it.
to help me get my YouTube channel going too, for fuck's
Yes,
sake?
plug
so
it.
hard. Belfacts, Belfacts. Because I'm distinguishing it from just Belfast.
Right.
Give me travel things, you know.
Okay.
But thank you so much for having me on. Appreciate
No
it.
worries. David Elliott, thank you for coming on.
Yes, listen, it's a pleasure as always to chat with you.
You actually look great.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
not,
you.
you're not the
Don't
fattest man I've seen in person.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
okay.
I appreciate that. For now,
For
I'm
now.
going for it. I'm gunning for it. You know, fuck you, mum. I'm going overboard.
What a way to end.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody, for watching, for listening. Have a great week. Go to Belfast. Visit Belfast.
Do it.
Belfast City by Ryan McMullen. Good song.
Yeah.
Anthem.
It's nice, isn't it?
It's an anthem.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.